Because I know that.
Welcome, everyone, to the November 8th, 2017 Whittier Regional Voc Technical High School School Committee meeting. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public comment. Is there any public comment tonight? None being heard, we'll move on. New staff introductions. Mr. Laganis.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, the rest of the school committee members. It's my honor to stand here as the principal and introduce the new staff members to our team. We have a few of them here, so we'll line them all up. Michelle Katina, guidance counselor, come on up.
The clap 20 times.
Rebecca Cronus, math teacher. Gilbert De Silva, plumbing instructor. Stephanie Hatchell, history instructor. Courtney Moreau, math instructor. Matthew Palmer, vocational aide. Rachel Rossi, guidance counselor. Catherine Stoughton, English teacher. Kim Valente, bus driver. Chris LaCroix, history instructor. Sarah Anderson, special ed teacher. Joe Young, electrical instructor.
All right, Joe.
Welcome to the team, everyone.
Welcome.
Excellent. Thank you. It's a really good-looking crew.
Thank you.
And everybody's smiling. I love it.
Miss Superintendent,
Thank you
is
for
this one of the
joining us.
largest groups we've had in a number of years?
In a couple of years, yeah.
We used to see in 4 or 5, not a dozen.
That's awesome.
Well, welcome to the team, everybody.
Excellent.
Okay. After that, no, we'll go home.
I don't have any of them. I know a few of them.
Chris, did they get something to eat?
Yes, they did.
They did?
Yes.
Okay. All of them?
Thank you very much. Good luck. Gotta go to my other job. You knew it best.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Joe. How we doing, kid? Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. We'll see you tonight. I gotta jump it over. Thank you.
Joe, welcome
Thanks for
aboard.
coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lynch, would you like me to get security on this guy?
Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Tucker.
I move the approval of October 11th minutes of the regular school committee meeting.
Second.
Any questions? None being heard. All in favor?
Okay.
Treasurer's report, Mr. Lesage.
Second.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? It's in your packet, or it was emailed out. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Old business. No old business to report at this time. Student representative, Brianna Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and all other committee members.
The football team has enjoyed a great season. The team has qualified for the MIAA state playoffs with a 5-2 record. Also, they are one of the highest scoring teams in the state. Coming off a big win this past Saturday, the team is looking forward to tomorrow night's game versus Amesbury High School at 6. In addition, both the JV and freshman teams have had good seasons and are looking forward to next season. The cross-country teams ran great at the end of the season. The girls had strong improvements from last year and are looking forward to returning some of their key runners. The boys team won the CAC League meet and the dual meet CAC title. The boys completed their second undefeated season in a row. The volleyball team wraps up its season with its first MIAA tournament appearance since 2014. They lost, but it was a hard-fought game against Melrose High School. The girls ended their season with a record of 9 wins and 10 losses. The seniors from this year will be missed, but next year's team looks promising as well. The boys soccer team finished their season with a record of 8 wins and 10 losses. The team played a hard-fought match versus Watertown in the first round of the MIAA state tournament last Friday. While some talented seniors are graduating, the team looks strong for the upcoming year. The girls' soccer team had a phenomenal season this year. They won some great games and qualified for the state tournament once again. Their overall record at the end of the season was 7 wins, 7 losses, and 5 ties. Many of the returning players are excited for next season and will take their experiences from state tournament to try to repeat their successes next year. The cheerleaders will continue to support Whittier by cheering at Whittier football games. They have competed in the CAC cheerleading competition and are looking forward to Whittier's Thanksgiving football game versus Greater Lawrence. The Peer-to-Beer Club is ready to kick off its annual canned food drive for the holidays. The shop or home that collects the most cans will win a breakfast sponsored by the club. This will happen on December 22nd. Machine Tech won last year and proudly displays a plaque in their shop. The canned goods collected will help feed the hungry in our communities. The Key Club has had a few community service events, such as the Haverhill Kiwanis Turkey Drop that was held at Garrison Golf in Haverhill. In addition, many of the Key Club members were also seen helping out at Open House this past Sunday. Also, we recently signed up to work a day at the Sea Festival of Trees in Salisbury and plan on decorating and donating a tree to be raffled off. The chorus is rehearsing for the upcoming winter concert December 14th. The concert is at 7 p.m. and is free for all. They will be performing a variety of repertoire, including some holiday favorites. That evening, there will be student and faculty musicians accompanying them on guitar and drums. The Multicultural Club has wrapped up their bracelet fundraiser and are looking forward to the Coats for Kids drive right after Thanksgiving. If any board member would like to donate gently used coats or jackets, adult or children's size, to those in need, there will be a collection box on the 3rd floor in the foyer next to the teacher mailroom. And I also have some of the bracelets from Multicultural since I was asked last meeting to bring some. So I have 20 if anyone would like to buy some.
What do they look like?
I do.
I can show you. She told me I had it open. So it says, "We smile in the same language," and it's in multiple colors.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, and I am going to take some. I am.
All set?
Yeah.
Any questions for Brianna?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Moving on, superintendent's report. Ms. Lynch.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Tonight before you is personnel action for informational purposes. I have hires of a route bus driver, a Title I parent liaisons, MCAS retest after school program, mental health professional development instructors, and evening school. I also have a resignation of a special education instructor. Budget update, there is not a budget update at this time. The MCAS update, Ms. Katrina Jensen, Coordinator of Data and Assessment, will be doing a presentation on MCAS this evening. On Thursday, October 12th, I attended my superintendent mentor meeting. These are consultancies meetings, and we discussed problems of practice, and I will be attending another one of those meetings tomorrow. On Wednesday, October 13th, I attended the MAVA Board of Directors meeting. On Thursday, October 19th, Whittier held the General Advisory Board meeting. Teachers were able to meet with their board and discuss current trends in their 22 vocational technical fields Whittier offers. On Friday, October 20th, I attended the North Shore Superintendent Roundtable. There continues to be discussion in Massachusetts with the superintendents group on computer science in our schools and whether we need computer science to be a major element of student programming in schools. On Tuesday, October 24th, I attended the Merrimack Valley Workforce Investment Board meeting. I'm going to butcher this name, Sharina Konova, the Assistant Secretary for Program and Performance Management out of the Executive of Labor and Workforce Development, shared what's been going on in the Workforce Skills Cabinet and the Workforce Development Boards in our state, and they're going to regionalize some of those workforce investment boards. On Thursday, October 26th, I hosted the Superintendent Advisory Board meeting. At the meeting, we were able to discuss vocational and academic programming. On Thursday, October 26th, I attended the YWCA Annual Tribute to Women Luncheon at DeBurrows. I want to thank Elaine Kavakis for putting together a wonderful afternoon. On Friday, October 27th, I attended the Special Education Professional Development meeting on mindfulness in schools. Wednesday, November 1st through Friday, November 3rd, I attended the MASC-MAS Joint Conference in Hyannis. I want to thank school key members for attending, Dave Irving, Dr. Joanna Testaverde, Elena Gilbert, and Lisa O'Connor for attending. And that is my report for this evening. I have 4 field trip requests forms. I have the first one is for the wrestling team. It's the annual wrestling tournament going to defend their title at Pelham High School on January 13th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any questions? Mr. Early?
Yes.
We will have the proper paperwork in line.
All in favor?
Aye.
For the first robotics competition, I have a field trip request for the team to go to the University of New Hampshire in Durham on March 29th, 30th, and 31st for a competition.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions?
Get the proper paperwork in line?
We will.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have the electronics robotics team along with machine technology. They'd like to go to Great Bay Community College in Rochester, New Hampshire, and that field trip is planned for January 31st.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Early?
Proper paperwork in line?
We will.
Thank you.
And I have that same field trip planned for the second week of students on February 7th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait, I have more. I have a ski trip planned to Loon Mountain on January 27th for the ski team or for the ski club.
Is that an overnight or a day?
It's just a day trip.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Early?
Do we have chaperones that go?
Yes,
Are they teachers? Or
yes,
We have the proper paperwork in line?
we will.
Thank you.
All in favor?
And I have another field trip for the ski team on March 3rd to Sunday River in Maine.
Is this an overnight?
It is not.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Early?
We have the proper paperwork in line?
We will.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next.
You all set?
Yep.
Mr. Tucker, question.
Just one question of clarification. You were talking about the computer science
Yes.
course or curriculum. And is that for programming or repair or what does that entail?
I believe that the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents really feels that students should have a stronger knowledge base of computer science. So they're looking at computer science even in the elementary schools up through the high school. And looking at that as a requirement moving forward. It's really in the beginning stages, so I feel like, I want to let the school committee know that that is the ongoing discussion in the state about computer science. But I believe it's programming, applications,
Learning how to interact. with-
right. It's not just being able to use an iPad. It's a much deeper knowledge than that.
Oh, thank you.
There was a lot of talk about need for people for coding. Now, I don't even know what it is, but is that something we do here or will do?
Well, again, that's part of that computer
It
science
is
piece.
part of that?
Yeah.
Any more questions? We have an academic update from the coordinator of curriculum and staff, Kelly Fay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
while
Mr.
Ms.
James.
Fay is approaching the,
Pushing the bench.
beginning her presentation, I just want to publicly acknowledge that she just finished her doctorate work, and she's now Dr. Fay.
Oh, you're right.
Congratulations.
James?
You're welcome.
Wow. I hurt my leg earlier today. Anything for me? Oh.
I say that to my 3-year-old. What's Mama's new name? And he says, "You going to take care of people." Here we go. All right. All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, members of the school committee. I am Dr. Kelly Fay, and I am here to give you my annual academic update. I'd like to begin by just providing you with the information that across the building in all subject areas, we have professional learning community time, which is grade level department meetings. We're very lucky to be able to provide that to our teachers, as not every school can find the time to do that. In addition, we have vertical meetings where the 9th grade teachers talk to the 10th grade, the 10th grade talk to the 11th, so that we're vertically planning during the day. And this year, we're very excited that we have begun honors vertical meetings. So all of the honors teachers in grade 9, 10, 11, or 12 are now one day a month during the school day are allotted time to actually sit and talk about the high expectations that they're going to continuously have for our students and instilling the rigor that we want our students to have going forward. In all classes, we provide literacy-based instructional practices, and then we have embedded inquiry-based learning experiences. You know, the whole Ben Franklin adage, teach me and I learn, involve me and I learn how to do it. So by doing the inquiry-based learning experiences, we're providing that hands-on information that they get on the vocational side, also in our academic side. And this year we have a teacher coach. And our teacher coach has been funded through our teacher quality grant, which is called Title IIA. Her primary role is to work with first and second year teachers. She runs the mentor program. She does meetings after school. She provides them with professional development. In addition to that, she actually works with veteran teachers who are in need of assistance as well. So she's been able to go into classrooms, model, do observations of teachers, give advice, and I have seen her advice being implemented in veteran teachers' classrooms. She also attends and facilitates some professional learning community meetings. So some people are really great and they know what they're doing and they're go-getters and their meetings are really good and they're all on task at all times. But there are some people that need that help of sharing ideas and topics and lessons, and she provides that time for them and helps facilitate that process. This year, we've had many curriculum changes, and we're going to have a few more coming down the pike. This summer, through grant-funded teacher quality, we were able to update our curriculum in English, math, and science based on the new Common Core standards and the next generation science standards. This fall, we started a new math sequence where our grade 9 students are beginning with Algebra 1 geometry. In the past, they had straight algebra and then geometry sophomore year, and now we've combined it to be Algebra 1 geometry starting this year, and then next year they'll actually have Algebra 2/geometry. So by doing that, they're actually getting an additional math class over the course of their 4 years, and we're also then preparing them for college and career readiness. preparing them to be ready for when they reach their physics classes or if they're in the engineering program, and making them get higher levels on the MCAS exam. In the spring of 2018, this coming spring, we're actually going to be starting our second college class for English. Currently, in last year, we offered Comm 101 through Northern Essex Community College, also called the Early College High School Program, where a professor from Northern Essex would come over and co-teach with our senior English teacher, and the students within that class received college credits. This year, we're actually able to provide 2 courses. So in the fall right now, we're offering Comp 101, and then in the spring, we're going to offer Comp 102. So our students are going to leave with 2 college courses, the students that are in that class, and it's part of what they call the mass transfer block. So any Massachusetts college or university will accept these credits. So it's a tuition savings for those students and their families. It's wonderful. And then this school year, we are aligning our science to start a new program for biology to be in 1 year, the freshman year. Currently, we have biology 1 freshman year, biology 2 sophomore year. We're going to transition to biology straight in the freshman year by providing them more hands-on inquiry-based learning experiences, more laboratory time, and continuing. And again, we'll be able to provide them, just like mathematics, we're actually going to be able to give them an additional science class before they leave high school. We are in the process of exploring AP and advanced placement. So here's a timeline so far on what we've been doing. In the spring, we surveyed other vocational schools to find out who offered advanced placement and what they offered, how they did it program-wise. This summer, we explored different advanced placement options, what types of courses we could do. Currently, we are looking at grant-funded opportunities to explore. Through our engineering program, we have Project Lead the Way, that's the PLTW, and they have a specific program called AP plus PLTW. So we're looking at that. There is a grant coming out. I actually have a webinar tomorrow on Project Lead the Way, a grant specifically for that. So I'm hoping that some of that funding can be used to do that exploration. And then we also want to look to see how AP complements our early college high school program. We surveyed colleges, typical colleges that our students were going to see how the admissions people essentially felt. Do you favor AP? Do you favor the early college program? So we want to be able to provide our students with as many opportunities possible and what's best for them. And what's also exciting is that we have currently subscriptions to APEX, which actually stood for, and when it began, it was called AP Excellence. And we currently have 2 seats for AP courses. So if we had a student that would be interested in taking AP right now, we are able to offer virtually AP classes for those kids. The last thing I'm going to talk about is our professional development. Last year, at the end of the year, Maureen, Superintendent Lynch, kicked off a growth mindset initiative, and it has been embraced throughout the school. What we first did is, at her closing speech for the end of the school year, she informed the staff that through a grant, we were able to purchase electronic versions of the book, The Growth Mindset Coach. A month-by-month guide to empower students to achieve. So we're twofold. Here we were doing the growth mindset, but we gave every teacher an electronic version to read on their iPad or their computer. So we were having them embrace the technology that we want our students to embrace. And it's gone over phenomenally. What I have right here are 2 posters that our design and visual and graphics students made. We found a picture of just 2 heads that had what a growth mindset was and what a fixed mindset. And essentially a growth mindset is pushing forward, someone who believes they can always achieve, they can keep going. If they have the fix, they say, oh, I can't do this, I'm not good at it, I won't ever be successful. And research shows that you can, your brain can grow. So these are our actual kids. They took pictures of themselves and made posters. And then they did research on what a growth mindset was and a fixed mindset. So you'll see these throughout the building. You'll also just walk into classrooms and see posters about growth mindset. So it's very exciting. Prior to the beginning of school, we had a training for the leadership team, all department heads and administrators on the growth mindset, what it was, how to instill it within our staff and students. And then we were very lucky on our first day to get Ron Suskind. He is a Pulitzer Prize winning, Academy nominated movie person, I guess, actor. It was a documentary. He came here and kicked off our school year. And that was kind of, again, it's all about his life, his son who had autism and how he was able to discover to communicate with him through Disney movies. So he has the movie and the book, Life Animated. And that was, again, really pushing forward the Growth Mindset Initiative. From here, we haven't given up. We have Mindset Monday. So we haven't done the one-hit wonder, read the book, and then we're never going to talk about it again. Every daily notice has every Monday a different quote, something about growth mindset. We try to put a little video, a movie clip, something to get the kids and the teachers thinking about it. And then we also have a website for teachers where we post every Monday a different article about growth mindset in their teaching and how to continue to instill that within their classes. And then here I'm just ended with a quote from the book that all the teachers had, and that you should always remember to embrace challenges, failures, and mistakes, not fear them. We want you and others to see that with patience, effort, and time, it's possible to achieve success in any realm of study. And that is all that I have for tonight. Any questions?
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Are there any questions for Dr. Fay?
I just want to say that it's very ambitious and very satisfying to hear that you're so busy.
Thanks.
And
I'm tired, right?
I think it shows in the school that you're exciting the students and the staff at the same time.
So, thank you.
Anyone else?
Very cool, Doctor. That's awesome.
I have a
Yes,
question.
yes.
Would it be possible the second half of the year if we could get an update on some of these things, like the new math course and the science curriculum, just to see how it's going?
If Superintendent Lynch wants that, we can do that.
All right. Anybody else? Thank you, Dr.
All
Fay.
right, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cal.
We have an MCAS and accountability with Coordinator of Data Assessment, Katrina Jensen.
Stories?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and school committee members. I am Katrina Jensen, and I'm your coordinator of data and assessment, and I have the distinct honor of reviewing our MCAS results and MCAS accountability tonight. We are a level 1 school. Whittier Tech is level 1. Yes, and as you can tell, compared to the state, our dropout rate and graduation rate far exceed the state averages.
Just a question on the level 1. Did I see a memo sometime recently that the state was eliminating level 1 designations going forward?
So, for middle schools and elementary schools, they did not give levels out this
Okay.
year because they changed the test.
Okay.
So they were held harmless this year.
So
But
only
high
high
schools
And
all got
received
leveled.
those designations.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. English language arts, 100% passed again for the second year in a row, and 95% of the students did so at the advanced or proficient level. This is an increase of 2% from the previous year.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It is.
Here's how we compare to the state with our subgroups, and as you can tell, all of our subgroups are well above the state average. Here's how our students compared from where they came from 7th grade to 10th grade. And I'd just like to highlight on this slide that our advanced percentage increased 27.9% from where the kids were in 7th grade. Next, we go to math. And this is the area we had our greatest gains. 97.9% passed, with 85% passing at advanced or proficient, and this was a 5% increase from the previous year. And once again, all of the subgroups are well above the state average. And again, here I'd like to highlight that 38.9% increase in the advanced category from when they took it in 8th grade to 10th grade. And science and technology, we had a 94.4% pass rate with 79% getting advanced to proficient. And this is a 3% increase from the previous year. And once again, all of our subgroups are above the state average.
I had a question. On English, you compared 7th to 10th grade, but on math was 8th to 10th grade.
So in the 8th grade, the English test does not have a long composition, but the 10th grade does. So I use the 7th grade test because that's actually comparable, because the 8th grade test doesn't have that piece. And again, in science and technology, I just want to highlight the increase in advanced, 27.6% from 8th to 10th grade. And where do the students stand now? The senior class is 100% MCAS passed. And the juniors are 95.2% passed. And that's it.
Those are great
Any
numbers.
questions?
Are there any questions? Mr. Tucker?
In the past, they've had this improvement formula where if they expect if you did 95% this year, they want 96 next year, 97 the year. Now, if we're already at 99.5% in something, whether it's attendance or whatever, are they? And then the next year we get 99.4%. Do they look at that as a decrease and we're not doing as well?
So they use that. That's how they get the levels for the high schools. That's how they get level 1. So this is actually the last year for the current formula. When they take the test in the spring, they don't have a definite of what they're going to do, whether they're going to keep with the current system or if they're going to change it because the test is changing in a year from the spring. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, that there are schools that are, when you reach the top, where else can you go?
Exactly.
Yes.
That was what I was wondering.
Yes.
Mr. Early?
Many years, 100%, which is very great. How do we sustain that?
A lot of hard work from everyone in the building, the adults as well as the kids. A lot of people are working with these students to keep them from getting discouraged, keeping them motivated to, this is for you. We want you to qualify for your high school diploma and not a certificate of attendance. A lot of people put in extra time with these students. The school pays the staff to work with them. They want to work with these students, and the students do their part. They attend, they come after school, they're here in the summer with us. They come out of their vocational area, even as upperclassmen, to make sure that they are working towards this goal.
How does this work, playing sports and not passing the MCAS?
So the coaches and the club advisors are wonderful. Our after-school program goes till 3 o'clock. So the coaches know we have a list. Like right now, we only have 8 kids taking the math test next week. So they've been after school. So if any of them were either student athletes or they were part of a club, we just work with the coaches and club advisors to say they can get there at 3:10. They really need to do this, and it's a priority for the coach and club advisors as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Very impressive. Thank you.
Technology update. Director of Technology and Information Systems, Mr. Kevin Williams.
Just one moment, please. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, members of the school committee. I am Kevin Williams. I'm the Director of Technology and Information Systems here. And I just happened to look at the calendar 2 days ago, marked, I'm now into my 8th year here at Whittier Tech. And so I'm very proud and happy to say that. My anniversary was 2 days ago, apparently. Didn't even, went by. Nobody gave me a cake or anything. Enough with that.
Next year they will.
I get the 10. Hopefully this year my update will be brief. I'm going to focus on some different things than usually I do in the past. My first 2 topics are a little bit more on the soft side of things, community engagement and recruitment. And then my last little bit will be on the more traditional IT technical sort of things. So first, one of the main things we did, just got released into the wild about a month ago, was our new website. Ms. Lynch in the spring challenged me to see what I could do with our website. While it was functional and useful, it was a bit dry. And we really wanted to bring out what makes Whittier special. We wanted it to really be a tool that went forward, that spoke to our prospective families, as well as be useful for those who are already here. So after talking with some outside resources, we really started to think about maybe we could do this ourselves, because who knows us better than us? So with some inspiration and talk with the team of folks here, including Mr. Pacelli, Mr. Pigeon, Mr. Trainer, Ms. Lawton, and myself, we started banding about ideas and designs and came out with 7 designs that never saw the light of day. And on the 8th try, is that the phrase? The 8th try is the one. We think we hit across a blend that really presented to the public what it means to come to Whittier, as well as being still useful for that information that our families go to all the time. I'd love for you to guess what the most common pages over the past 5 years on all versions of our website has been. The lunch menu. It gets more hits every week for the past 5 years than anything else on our website. So we had that challenge of how do we bring in and make this a marketing sort of tool to go for new families and yet still provide that sort of information quickly to our existing families who look for it every week. What's to eat? So I'm not sure if everybody has seen all of this, so if you indulge me, I'll give you a quick overview. This is the landing page of our new website. And right away, it speaks to what's important to us and what we feel about Whittier. We are not ordinary. We're extraordinary. It's visually engaging, and it really just sets that tone to say, you want something more than just a regular high school education. Come see us. The other kind of inside joke that's on this page is in the quotes, the phrase, the Whittier way. For years in our meetings, we would kind of half joke about, oh, that's just the Whittier way. And when we're describing some way of something that we've done or not done or some happenstance. And we kind of said, we can turn that on our ears. The Whittier way is what makes us so successful. Why can't we talk about that to the public and not just kind of half talk about it in our meetings inside the building? So it's a hub for everything that's Whittier, whether it's the high school, the night school, our new foundation website that allows you to donate right online. Donate, please, right to our thing. Or to learn more or apply now through our new online admissions system that I think Ms. Lowell showed last month. But any of those things, learn more especially, or apply now, brings you to this landing page, the Whittier way. And if you'll indulge me for the first sentence, the Whittier way is a belief that high school is more than just a diploma. We believe that students need more than just a piece of paper after 4 years. They need skills and knowledge to be college and career ready. We use this page to really highlight the things that make Whittier special. And through these 3 categories of performance, college success, and workforce excellence, try to address directly some of the myths and maybe misinformation that gets bandied about out in the public, whether it's about Whittier or vocational education in general, really to highlight these are the things we do, and these are the facts behind that. Over time, each one of those categories will have more and more stories related upon those 3 categories that allow people to dig in deep to say, oh, what about performance? Right now, we talk about some of our outcomes versus state benchmarks. We'll be adding more things now that we have a great, fantastic new story of level 1 again. And we'll continue to do that, whether it's college success or workforce excellence, because we feel that we need to prepare our students for all of these things. As you scroll through easily, you can see lots of information and lots of apply now buttons everywhere to get people into our new online access for that. But in terms of the everyday, when you go to the high school home, what you see is a high school website. The information you need. The Apply Now button is there too, but there's your lunch menu, there's your bus routes, there's your athletic schedule, here's our latest news, here's all the things that a student of current or prospective students might want to see, our pathways, our services, all the things that make Whittier special. So, on top of that, along with that, we greatly have expanded our presence in social media and online presence. As the father of Wayne Gretzky said, you don't skate to where the puck was, you skate to where it's going. Pew Research Center, 70% of adults in America use social media more than once a day. And for the demographic that includes ages of parents that would have children around that age, that number moves up to 80%. We've taken a strong stance of trying to get our message out to the places where the eyeballs are. That's Facebook, Twitter, and even now Instagram as we go forward. We've expanded our reach greatly on those things. Every news story that hits our website goes immediately to Facebook and Twitter. We've even experimented over the past 6 months with buying Facebook ads for some of our events, and they've been wildly successful. For little money, we're able to directly target demographic groups that we want to attend, whether it's STEM camps, summer camps, or even open house, and get verifiable information back on the number of eyeballs reached, the number of clicks, all those things. And the value is just off the charts. For pennies a click, we get hundreds of direct interactions with it. We get the stats in the tens, 15,000 views of folks that see some of this material. Again, drives people to the source of the information, us. All right? So we do that. We have a number of Twitter accounts, not just for the school, but we have some of our folks like Ms. Lynch and our assistant principals, and they're fantastic. Our assistant principals are out through the building all the time, seeing the great things our students do. They stop, they take a picture, they write a sentence or two, they post it up to Twitter. Really just engaging and showing folks what happens at Whittier on a day-to-day basis. Really, and the follows and the folks that we have going there. Our Instagram account we started a week ago as a lead up to open house. It went from 0 to 100 followers in 7 days with almost no advertising, but a post on Facebook. It's amazing. And that's where people are. And so we need to go where they are to get our message to them so that they come to us. Lastly, more of the technical piece of it, instructional technology. We're in a 4-year cycle. This year, we're replacing hardware, desktops, laptops. The one thing that's really been the most exciting has been the replacement of the teacher iPads with the iPad Pro with Apple Pencil. They all love their iPads, but if you use the regular iPad with a stylus, it's kind of like using a crayon. It's kind of chunky and hard. With the new iPad Pros and the Apple Pencils, what you get instead is an experience that's much more like writing. Instantly on the board. You can circle, you can laser point. And the great thing is it's a virtual whiteboard that lets them write and write and write. And when they're done, they hit a couple of buttons and they share everything that they've just written to display on that board out with their students. It's been a huge boon. Everyone who has gotten one of these just loves it to pieces. I was going to give you a demonstration, but the fact is I've been running this demonstration the whole time. I've done this whole presentation from my iPad Pro with my fingers and my pencil and jumping around. And more interestingly, I've been recording everything that I've done on this iPad for Mr. Pacelli so that when he does the school committee video, he's able to capture all the interactions I did. So you imagine a teacher can record a small snippet lesson or something with or without her voice, optional, record everything using whatever app she wants on her iPad and can send that to the students to be able to watch before class, during class, as a review after class, for other teachers, for professional development, anything and everything you could think about. It's been a really great tool that we've really embraced and really has taken that use of the iPad on the teacher level to the next level. So that's all I have for my prepared stuff, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Mr. Tucker.
I'm very impressed. No, the teachers have this. Does this mean that next year or the year after, the students may join the club and?
Currently, we don't think that the students really will benefit as much from the Apple Pencil, and the cost is a little prohibitive. They're much more expensive than the standard iPad. But technology changes, prices change. Apple might determine that, you know what, they'll bring these technologies down the line as they go, and that may be an option. I wish I could read the tea leaves, because then I could read the stock market, but just don't know right now.
But they still have an opportunity to write, like you say, English composition, you're still writing in longhand.
And the skills that they need when as Ms. Jensen was talking about the MCAS changing, that test becomes online. One of the big reasons they have these devices is to practice that typing skill, because that is how they're going to take their MCAS. And so being able to use that preparation now is going to be a huge boon for them when that test becomes online for our 10th graders and it counts.
Do you see handwriting becoming old school?
That's not for me to determine. That's I can tell you that cursive isn't taught in elementary schools, because that's where one of my kids is, and that's not something he had to teach himself how to sign his name.
You buy the cursive.
Thank you. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Mr. Early.
Couple things. What does make Whittier special?
I think you see it every time we come and talk to you, whether it's us or the things that the students
No,
do.
what makes it special, putting it on Twitter or Facebook?
What makes it special that we do there? I think, again, we have such a great story. We need to get that story out where people can see it. Nowadays, where people see it is there. And I think we're doing a very good job at promoting that message and getting it to the eyeballs so people can see it, so they know what a fantastic place, and not just hearsay and third party and everything else, but directly from us.
I personally agree with that. However, social media is basically the way it's happening. We have no control over it. However, they still have to add, subtract, multiply, and divide the kids. And I believe they're getting away from a lot of that, because they think going to social media, in my opinion now, going to social media is going to help them add, subtract, multiply, and divide, which I don't believe it's happening.
It's an argument that could be out there, but we could be here all night with that
I
one.
think it's important to know that the kids aren't using social media
Right,
here at
we
the
are.
school. The adults are using
I
social
agree with
media
that.
to get the message out about Whittier Tech. So there is still
Yep.
mathematics going on in math classes, but they're using their iPad instead of a calculator.
It's a very interesting thing, because Sunday at the open house, I went to one of the seminars, and they have to work twice as hard because they've got less time in the shop versus less time, in their classes. And that's an amazing thing on how they were able to do that. It's hard to even visualize it. And I think you do a great job on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
I had a question.
Yep. Mr. Vaughn.
What happens with the MacBooks are replaced every 4 years, the iPads? What happens to the ones, are we renting them, or what happens to them?
So we do lease to own them. After 4 years, a MacBook, you're at the end of it. We do find ones that are in halfway decent shape, and we're able to do some things to refurb them, to bring them back into areas that don't necessarily have a device. So, for example, some of the shop areas, they don't have the dedicated space to set up a computer lab to put 4 desktops down so they can do OSHA for 10 hours and then never do it again for the semester. I can take some old MacBooks, do a little bit of refurb, the instructor can stack them away in a closet until he needs them, they use them, they go back. Many of them after 4 or 5 years, there's not much left to do much with to begin with, but we find creative ways to use them when we can. We recycle them when we have to.
And moving forward with the MCAS, the new generation, are the students going to be taking them on their iPads?
Yeah, the current plan is they will take them on the iPads. It's a supported device, and it's a device that they're familiar with. We have plug-in keyboards. Every English class in the building has a set of 25 of those keyboards, so the kids are already practicing those skills that they'll need to go through that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Kevin, I'm not sure this is a question for you, but how many years have we got before the new MCAS 2 that's hitting the elementary schools The, fre-
Right now, they say this year's freshmen will take it next year. That's what they say. Now, they haven't given us a lot of faith that that's actually going to hit, but that's what the documentation right now says.
Because they said it has to come through the elementary grades before it comes here, so.
Right now, we don't have a lot of materials and info. We all have the app, but it only shows practice things up to 8th grade,
Yeah.
even today.
Yeah.
So your guess is as good as mine.
Dr. Testorati.
Kevin, in regard to keyboarding skills, obviously the kids today haven't been taught how to do proper, this is old-fashioned stuff, proper typing, that you use certain letters, fingers to do letters, etc., to be quick and to be accurate, etc. How is that going to have an impact on them taking the tests if they have to write compositions and be timed, etc., when they don't have those skills?
It's a challenge across the state for sure. What we do know is that luckily, because that mandate's gone through K through 8 already, a lot of the K through 8 has started to address that early on. So as those students move up, they at least have some rudimentary knowledge. I can tell you that you're right. Some kids much prefer to use that glass, and they can go way faster than I can. I'm a computer guy. I can't touch type. I use like 6.5 fingers, but I can still type at about 65 words a minute if I'm going. So they seem to make do, but it is a challenge. But again, I think that build up through the K through 8 program, those schools are addressing that because they have to do it as well. We'll hopefully reap some of the benefit of that.
No questions? Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Principal's update, Mr. Laganis.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, the rest of the school committee members. As we know, that open house was held November 5th last Sunday from 1 to 4. It was very well attended. There were many interactive activities, staff presentations, and live classrooms. Also, the shop areas had interactive demonstrations, which included interactive childcare activities, cosmetology performed manicures, and machine tech gave out dog tags to get engraved down in the shop. The middle school tours have started. This past Tuesday, we had Ipswich come in, and tomorrow, Haverhill Constantino is coming in. First quarter is over. Report cards are going to be issued tomorrow. And Parents' Night, and if you put in your calendars, Parents' Night, November 16th from 6 to 8. Parents will be able to have a brief meeting with their child's academic and vocational teacher that night. Also, Parent Night from 5 to 6, there'll be a grade 9 information session about choosing their technical program. We want parents to discuss with their children about possible choices. At the same time, we have the Hidden in Plain Sight presentation, which is the stage room, which will be down in the health room in 2126 from 5 p.m. till close. Roxanne Grover and Katie Parsons, the Above the Influence coordinators, will be there till 8 answering questions. And that was the stage room above the influence and deterring students from drugs and alcohol. And it's mainly, it's all for the parents. The Booster Club continues their ongoing efforts to raise funds for the students. And just putting out a pitch for the Booster Club, don't forget to order a pie or two from the Man Orchard Pie fundraiser. And that is the 21st. The pies will be delivered here and picked up by the Booster Club. Students will be going to Skills USA this fall at the fall conference, November 19th through November 21st. And that's what's going on. Any questions?
Questions?
Just ask a question to the superintendent. How did the panel work out this year?
I think it worked out okay. I think we're going to make some adjustments for next year.
Learning.
Yes.
Thank you.
What panel?
We had a student panel.
Yes.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Laganis.
Thank you.
Business Manager, Kara Cosmos.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Superintendent Lynch, members of the committee. All I have for you this evening in your packet is the budget calendar that we are proposing for this year. It basically mimics what we have done in the past. We take the April school committee meeting and we work backwards from the public hearing where you vote the budget. We work backwards so that we put it in line as best as we can with how the state releases the numbers. I have not heard any difference in that the state, I assume, will be releasing the numbers this January as they usually have. If not, obviously, if we had to make adjustments, we would. But basically, I ask for your approval of the calendar.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I could just say while we have all the staff that have made presentations here tonight, it's all been so encouraging and exciting, and I thank you all so much, and we'll get down to the nitty-gritty stuff, but this stuff has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and it just makes it all worthwhile. Thank you all very much.
Here, here.
Great job.
Mr. Chair, what do you?
Yes, Mr. Early.
This goes back, excuse me, this goes back to the budget time when we're presented a budget and we ask questions, why this and why that, and this just shows you we're putting the money in the right place. I believe we are.
Yeah.
And, the statistics, the numbers, the enthusiasm, it all shows. And I want to congratulate everybody involved, superintendent, all the way down to the cafeteria, because everybody is part of this whole team here. And I talked to a lot of people Sunday, and a lot of enthusiasm from the kids that are here, the parents of the kids here, and the potential people coming in. I mean, the kids have a lot of enthusiasm, but the parents also have a big part of this too. The days are over that we're just gonna go to the high school or go to a school to follow where our friends are. The parents are rolling their sleeves up and know that Whittier is a serious thing. And I want to commend everybody for that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. We have no December annual agenda items. We have a reorganizational meeting date.
Mr. Chairman, I move to suspend the rules for the purpose of setting the date.
Believe me, I know
For the past few years, district agreement says one thing, but the past few years, we've been having it the second Monday of April. And because of holidays and other situations, I would move that under the suspension, if that's approved, that we go to the, I believe that's the 9th, 2 nights prior to that open meeting and the school committee meeting. So I would move that as a recommendation.
What was that, to move the?
Reorg meeting.
Well, I
I'm
missed the
suspending the
change.
suspending the rules of the district to set a date,
Okay,
a new date, from this, I believe it's from the 2nd to the 9th. We've
Okay.
done that this past several years. We did it at the end of Superintendent Sarkeesian, and then we did it pretty much through Superintendent DeRosa's period, and I think we have the last couple of years.
Okay.
So if,
I'll second his motion to suspend.
Are there any more questions on that or discussion?
That's April?
April.
April. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
I have a question. If we continue every year to suspend the rules of the district, why don't we make a effort or an initiative to ask the districts to allow us to change the date? I mean, I don't think
I
this
would
is a
caution
big
you
deal.
against
yeah,
that.
if you open it up, if you open it up, they can do anything.
Oh, I see.
So that's why I'm doing it yearly.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you open an agreement, it's everything's open,
Oh.
and you run into
That's why
trouble.
we schedule a meeting in July.
And you never want to vote for it.
But we schedule it, don't we?
But we schedule it.
Well, it's on the calendar.
Once we open the agreement, we can discuss
They-
anything on the
any town can hold you
agreement,
hostage.
not just one item on the agreement. I
All
understand.
kinds of grievances now come out.
Yeah. Okay, then.
All right, moving on. Subcommittee reports. Executive has not met. I don't believe there's a need for a meeting. Instructional personnel, Dr. Testenberry.
Yes, we met on the 19th of September, and I think we did discuss some of this in the October meeting, but the minutes of the meeting are included, and again, it was much of the same presentation we've had this evening, which was exceptional and highlighted the positive achievements we're making in growth in the curriculum areas.
Move. Are you moving it?
Oh, I move to accept
Second.
the report.
All in favor?
Aye.
Plant operations, Mr. Tucker.
Plant operations met this evening. The two major items we discussed were boiler. We're going from 5 boilers to 4 boilers, but they will be more efficient and cost less. It's an
Nice.
upgrade that we're going through. The second item that we discussed was the major project over the summer, which is the machine shop renovation, which we're all quite proud of.
Amazing.
There are minutes here for a previous meeting that I can move to accept.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Salary negotiations, we have not met, but we have a meeting coming up November 15th. There's also, I'd like to make an appointment. Mr. James would like to join the salary negotiations.
Sure.
I think just the meeting coming up, that's it. Policy, Mr. Irving?
Yep, we have minutes from September 13, minutes when we started going over the items for the first reading of the new policy. So I'd move that for acceptance.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye. In your agenda tonight, we have under policy, we have the second reading of the policies. And just for the record, I'm going to read them. Hopefully we'll get them right. ACE, ADC, BDE, BEDB, DJE, FA, GBEA, IHAMA, JLCB, KDB, BBA, BHE, BIA, BIBA, CB, CBD, CBI, CE, CH, CHA, CHC. I move it for the second reading and a final approval.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. Chairman, we have about the same amount that we went through tonight, and through the hard work of the superintendent and the superintendent's administrative assistant, which, believe me, was a lot of work. We went through about a third more. We had 99 policies to do, and believe me, Whittier was up to date, was very up to date with the policies, but MESC went through them again and decided to change some language. There's some references changed, some legal references and cross-references, so we had to go through everything again. So we'll be up front once this gets done in January, hopefully February, for the final reading of the 99 of them. We've gone through at least a third. We'll have the other third in December, and hopefully the final one either January or February. So ask you to read them, and if you have questions, then bring them to the meeting. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Meeting dates. We have the salary negotiation November 15th at 6 p.m. And is that here or is it
Upstairs.
upstairs? Okay. I don't know if there's any others coming up.
Policy, if I could, policy at 5:30 again on the 13th of December.
Oh, okay.
I know it's Christmas time, but we've got to try to get through these. Holiday time, I should say.
13.
13th at 5:30, see if we can get through the next set.
Anything else? Mr. Early?
Quick question, plan operations, did we just talk about that?
Yes, we did. We approved the minutes.
Oh, do we vote on it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I want to abstain because I wasn't here last time.
Take back his vote.
Well, we had a.
You actually don't have to.
We didn't have a quorum. It was an informational meeting only.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
all right, thank you.
New business.
Yeah, we don't have it posted, but I'd like to have several of us would like to do as brief as we can report from the Cape.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you to pass those out. This is just a quickie, like a bookmarker, and pass them right up to the administrators also. I think there's enough. It says what Massachusetts has been doing from like 2015 till now as far as math and ELA English, some of the things that we've been doing in the state. And several people there were from out of state, and they mentioned how great, Massachusetts was definitely the leader in education. And it went over and over, and again, we heard that. So anyway, just briefly, we had 7 resolutions that we were involved in. About 4 to 5 of those resolutions had to do with foundation budget funding of Chapter 70, the circuit breaker, updating it, and also litigation in court for fair funding under the McDuffie Act. We opposed funding of private schools, use of federal funds, for instance, the Perkins funds, vocational funds that come into the state of Massachusetts of $50 million. A good portion of that goes out of administrative costs to DESE as far as administrative area. And the most controversial one had to do with quote-unquote Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, and that's Massachusetts voted to, or MASC, the school committee across the state, voted to keep the Medicaid and reimbursement level up to where it should be. There's some talk about trying to defund that, not necessarily at the national level, but even locally. So those were the big things that passed. But we had a couple of general sessions. Just briefly, I'd like to mention some, and then we can have others talk. We had Dr. Bill Daggett, who was, I know the last time we knew about him, he was the head of occupational education in New York State. He now runs the International Center for Leadership in Education. And he told us a lot of things, and he's a futurist. 20 years ago, he told us he spoke for an hour and a half and said that I'm going to have the complete notes of what I've just said, plus any questions you've asked, and it's going to be already collated and stapled in the back of the room in 7 different languages. And he did it. They did it. And this is because of technology that we're talking about earlier. He says you've got to continue with the 3 R's, the traditional information for education, but we also have to add college, career, and the common good, which is 3 more C's. And he also talked about the revolutions that's going on. The first revolution was animal, the steam power. The second talks about factory system. The third, what Mr. Williams was talking about tonight with Web 101, 201, 301, 401 is going to be nanotechnology. And the vocational schools will have to get what another question asked, not just being able to use a computer, but be able to write computer code in this nanotechnology that's coming in the future. Embedding of chips, all of this information, the high technology is really going to be set for the vocational schools in the next few years. So basically, that's it. He does talk a lot about social emotional learning. We had another general session they may comment on as far as drugs and the opioid crisis. Dr. John Kelly from Mass General came in and spoke about the problem with opioids and the other drugs that are going on today. And I'd just like to say, it really is worthwhile. The educational, not every little panel is going to be the best, but the general sessions and basically the overview that the Massachusetts Association of School Committees and the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, they put on one hell of a seminar. Yes, I would say, I'm not sure, Elena, you might say, probably close to 800 to 1,000.
I think it was one of the biggest ones they've had.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is, and it's getting this information out. The idea of teaching the total child, to, again, not just the 3 R's, but the emotional background, the mindsetfulness, et cetera, that we talked about, the doctor talked about, and so on. So, Joanna and Elena and Lisa came.
Mm-hmm. I reiterate what David said. It is a wonderful experience, and it's good for all of the people who can go and expand their knowledge of what's up and coming and where we need to go. Most of the materials that the sessions that I went to, along with the general sessions that David attended, were on social emotional growth. What's happening today to our children, the amount of stress, watching young people today apply for college. The kids they're developing tics and they're crying. Young boys, our young teenage boys who were always considered to be, these macho guys, now come home after school crying about college and what's going to happen to them. The stress in America's teenagers today is phenomenal. And so I attended 2 or 3 sessions on emotional health and how important it is. And I think we're working on that in our mindfulness and our positive thinking programs here. So that's an important part of today's educational programs.
I have a quick question, Doctor. Were they talking about the financial stress on these kids going into college?
Everything.
Everything. Dick. the pressure to take the test. Am I going to, and the kids getting into college. Colleges, when I went to school, places that we thought were just, oh, that's just a secondary school, or that's your backup school. These places aren't backup schools anymore. Places like Northeastern University or Boston College used to be hard to get into. These places are equivalent and just as hard as any of the Ivy League schools to get into. And our kids are saying, and kids from Massachusetts are not given the same consideration because colleges want them from all over the country. And places like Northeastern and BU, et cetera, the big schools in Boston, they want them from all over the world.
Thank you.
So the pressure is there on all aspects, and financially is phenomenal.
That's one of the biggest.
Well, places like Northeastern BU, $60,000 to $70,000 a year.
All right, times 4, it's
Dollars.
$250,000.
And some and parents now are looking for financial aid and working on having their kids become part of the sports clubs, specialty sports and sports trainers, because if they get sports scholarships, it helps with the financial costs. But it's a stress all the way around.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that stress factor. On NPR this morning, there was an article out there, a segment about college admissions. They're saying they get top tier colleges get thousands and thousands of applications, and for 100 applications, they'll accept 5 or 6 students. So that I can see what you're saying about teenage stress getting younger and younger. Lena?
One of the workshop that I enjoyed the most was about MCIEA, and I want to tell you it stands for Massachusetts Consortium for Innovative Education Assessment. This is a group that wants to do away with high-stakes testing and test the kids on their performance, school quality measures, student engagement, student achievement, school environment, performance assessments, and it just was such, judging the whole child and not just basing their opinions on one high-stakes test to see whether you passed or failed it. It's not looking at everything. And they're talking about what they did, what they're working on to do this with the kids, and we're doing it. I mean, listening to you folks tonight was exactly what they're talking about. But the drawback to this is a whole bunch of information on it, and I'm not being very, I don't know, can't get it out of my mouth, but they still have to, the schools that have joined into this, and the teachers and the students, they still have to do the MCAS. So that the teachers are trying to juggle both aspects. They're trying to teach them to the test and then trying to bring it back to basics and looking at all kinds of things. And they're doing it, and it's successful. Whether it will go anywhere or not, I don't know, but I found it fascinating. And there were a lot about opioids. There were a lot of workshops about that. And there is a group, it's called Learn to Cope, and it's funded by the Department of Mental Health. And they will teach you, they'll have somebody come into the school, and they're calling this opioid addiction a pediatric disease because it's starting so young. So there's just so much, and the United States has got the biggest problem. 5% of the world population has a problem, and 80 to 90% is here in the United States. So, but it was a wonderful conference, a lot of good speakers. And I just encourage anybody to go. Every year, it just seems to get better and better. But anyway.
I went to some different seminars myself. So I have a special education background. So some of the ones I went to was different law cases. Some of them were special education. A good one that I did attend was Turning 22, which talked about how schools are responsible, for kids that they can't graduate, but they're responsible till they're age 22. And I was curious to know, schools are supposed to have, CPACs, and what the status is of Whittier's CPAC.
We have a CPAC.
Okay, so parents meet periodically and, okay. And some of the other things that I sat in on was some social emotional support. And there was also one that I hit at the end of the day on Friday, which involved stress, which can lead to depression, which can eventually lead to possible suicide. And how kids just really need to be able to find people to talk to and discuss, what their stresses are and, if there's depression, how to have that addressed. And, there's always somebody out there. And another one that I attended on Friday was Therapy Animals in the Classroom, which also helps to eliminate stress. So that was it was a fun one. They brought dogs in, they had cats in. It was interesting.
Just one other quick thing, on your behalf, I was asked to go to meet with a DESE official, and there were about 21 of us across the state that did, and basically they were asking, should school committees get involved with checking books out and curricular and being involved in curriculum? And I cautioned against it, saying leave that to the professional curriculum specialist. You might have some background on it, you might not, but school committees should not get involved in that. As far as maybe having a book come to us, like the instructional activity, they'll recommend a book and we look at it and say, yeah, looks good, and go ahead. That's fine. That's an appropriate place for a school committee. But to dig our nose in and to start kind of mandating, hey, you'll do this book or not, that's an absolute no. I'm not even know why DESE asked the question. I really don't. To me, it's kind of silly. Anyway, that's report. Thank you.
Mr. James? Okay. Anybody else?
I've grabbed a couple of these flyers about the opioids in schools, if anybody wants to grab one of these. Maureen, did you get one of these? Thank you, Brianna. So there's a few more here if anybody wants one.
Yeah, District Attorney, is that the one that Middlesex County District Attorney? I think it is.
Is that the one?
Yep, I think so. She's pretty good at that.
Oh.
District Attorney.
Oh, yep.
Sorry.
No.
Once a year.
We also have questions? Else like to add? Executive session, we have no executive session.
Mr. Chairman, move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
At least I shut up finally.